How's it going, YouTube? I'm Mike.
And I'm Chelsea.
And this is our bearded dragon, Izzy. She's a full-grown adult Begona vidiceps. And we're going to show you how to set up a terrarium for a bearded dragon like this. You want to start with a tank, obviously. You're going to need that. And for a lizard of this size, you want about a 40-gallon tank. You could get larger, 40-gallon minimum. If you had a baby, you could get a 20-gallon or a small tank. But eventually you're going to need to get a 40-gallon tank like this. So you might as well just get it right off the bat. Especially once a year, Petco does a 50% off sale, where a tank this size, that's usually over $100, is $50. So you really can't beat that for the price. And this type of tank, if you get one that's designed for reptile rather than one that's designed for aquarium fish, they will already come with a screen lid. This screen lid breathes, it allows air to flow through, it'll hold the lights on top, and it'll stop any type of crickets or perhaps your lizard from escaping, and you really don't want that. Especially this lizard has already escaped from its previous owner, and it lived in a bakery for a year, completely on his own, which is impressive for a bearded dragon.
Next thing you're going to want to think about is which side you're going to want for a basking area. One side's going to be hotter so he can soak up the sun. And you want to start by getting a heating pad. This is a Zoom Med 8-watt heating pad. You just stick it right underneath the tank like this, in an area where he's going to be able to reach the ground and feel the heat, just in case he's feeling a little cold.
Alright, so once you've picked your warm side, you've picked your cool side, you've got your tank set up, you've got your lizard. We're going to have to take her out. Come here. The next thing is you need some type of substrate. A lot of people will use sand or Repti-Bark, some other commercial things you can buy at the pet store. We don't like those. We don't really use those for any of our lizards. Those can grow mold, bacteria. It's really not the cleanest thing. One of the best things we found is this right here. This is a green mat that you can get at Petco that's already set up exactly for this size. Here's the box. Yep. Green terrarium liner. These are about $20. Petco, I'm sure other pet stores sell them. You could order them online. I'm sure it's probably even cheaper then. And they make these for different size tanks. This is not the only one. And they also make some that look more like they're from a desert. They're gray or tan. But these green ones are nice. This is what he had when we got him. He was somebody else's lizard before. So you just put that in there. It doesn't grow any mold. You can take it, throw it right in your washing machine when it gets dirty. Really super easy to clean. Throw it in the washing machine, wipe the tank down with a little bit of water mixed with vinegar, and it's clean.
And if you're worried about money, you could probably go to a local craft store and find like a big sheet of this and cut it down to the right size of your tank if you can't find the size that your tank is. And the next thing you're gonna want to do for your basking area is get a basking platform. Now, usually people use rocks, so the bearded dragon can have some heat after the lights turn off, after the rock soaked up the heat, but we're just using a piece of wood like this. He loves this, he loves climbing up on it, and that way it's easier for him to get closer to the sun, or the artificial sun, and get the UVB rays he needs.
Here you go. And another reason we don't use rocks is because we already have the heating pad, so we don't need anything to hold residual heat once the lights turn off. So you've got your basket platform, you've got your mat. It's starting to look more like a actual setup for a lizard like this. Next thing is you get a hide. Something where he can go in and he can shade himself, get out of the heat, get out of the light, so he can cool down, because they're cold-blooded animals. So not only do they need something to keep themselves warm, they need a cool side, so if they get too warm they can come back over here and thermoregulate. Human beings can thermoregulate from within their body. We shiver and we sweat. These cannot do that. So we've got his hide right here, and then we've got another hide because we feed him live crickets. And a lot of people say not to feed them live crickets in their tank and just leave them there because the crickets could chew on the beardy's skin, they could bother him when he's sleeping. We have this right here that works as a cricket hide. It's also somewhat ornamental, it makes the tank look a little nicer. But this is too small for the bearded dragon to get inside, so the crickets will go inside there and hide. They still have to come out every now and then to grab some food. We feed him vegetables every day, so the crickets will sneak over to his food dish and then he'll grab 2 or 3 a day. And that's how we can regulate his cricket intake, so we don't have to constantly worry about it every single day. We just give him his vegetables and the crickets come out of their hide. I dump about 20 in here every week and he slowly eats them.
And then the next thing you're going to want to deal with is the food and water dish, so he can stay hydrated and get his food. Watch out, buddy. This we put the vegetables in, and if you want you can add another dish for mealworms, or mealworms, superworms, any kind of worms that you feed your bearded dragon, and you can put it down so they don't run away on him he can actually go over to the dish and not have to find the little things crawling around. And the next thing you're going to want to do is watch the humidity and the temperature. So we have something to watch both. You're going to want to stick it to your tank, wherever you think is, well, should I stick it right now?
Probably about in the middle. So you got a good idea of
Both sides.
average.
You're going to want for the temperature, you're going to want in the basking area to be anywhere between 85 to 105, and the cool side to be anywhere between 75 to 85, so he can get warm or get cold whenever he needs to do. And for the humidity, usually in the wild, he can get anywhere between 10% and 60% with the wide range of the climate in Australia. So you're going to want to decide an average for the tank for 25 to 45%, but maybe once or twice per week a little higher, like 60 or 70.
And that's very good for his skin too, keeping the humidity up when he's shedding. Helps the pieces of dead skin flake off. Especially with this wood right here, I'll spray the wood and then he can rub up against it and it'll pull the dead skin off when it's moist. So once you've got all this set up, the last thing to worry about is going to be your lights or your artificial sun. So you have your screen lid that we already talked about. That comes in over the top, keeps everything contained. And then we use 3 different kinds of lights. Our basic light, this holds 2 different lights and has 2 different switches too, 2 different cords, so you don't have to make sure that they're both on at the same time. This is our regular, just basking light. This just provides heat and regular light. Doesn't provide any of the UV rays that he needs to create vitamin D3. It's basically just a heat lamp. And this red one over here is a full-time heat lamp that we can leave on at night as well, because don't forget they need to stay warm at night, especially we live in New England. So it's very, very good to have something like that. It doesn't affect his sleep. It's red, it's dull. It doesn't even really affect our sleep much, and we're sleeping in the same room as him. So we'll take the lights and we'll set them up over on the warm side of his tank. And those are his 2 basic lights. Just, you know, this could be just a regular incandescent bulb, something that creates a lot of heat. And then the next thing is the very important light. This right here is a UVB light. And here's the box for it. You can get these at your local pet store. They have a lot of UVB lights for sale. You want to find a UVB light that's legitimate, that will last, and that will work good. There's a lot that barely produce any UVB, and then they stop working after a little while. These lights you need to replace every 6 months to a year. If you read the light itself, it says a year. If you watch videos or you talk to people at reptile expos, they're going to tell you 6 months just to be on the safe side. And to make sure you have a legitimate UVB light, you don't just want to find something that says basking and UVB. You want to find something that actually gives you a number to the amount of UVB it has. So these right here, ReptiSun 10.0 UVB lights by ZoomEd, these are really good. These are what we use for all of our animals. You can get a light that does both heat and UVB called the PowerSun, but they're really expensive. I have those for my iguana, but for this guy, we went with this light. This light's 20 bucks. This light's like 8 bucks. So for $28, you've got the same thing the PowerSun has to offer. You just have 2 different light fixtures.
And if you have the extra money, the PowerSun also, when it runs out of UVB, it just completely stops working. So you know for a fact if you are getting the UVB or you're not.
Yeah, then you don't have to worry about keeping track of how often you have to replace them.
That's the difference between like 20 and 50 bucks.
Yeah, exactly. For $40 extra, if you have it, it's worth it. Lastly, these lights can't just stay on all the time. They need a day and night, just like us, just like any animal. So you just go to Walmart, you can go to the pet store, get the same thing at Walmart for half the price of the pet store, and get a basic timer like this. These timers are really simple. They just spin around. You have 24 hours. And these little black parts click up and down. And you click up the ones that you want when the light is on. And you click down when you want the lights off. It gives you time, so you could just spin it, set it to the right time, set your 12 hours of light on, 12 hours of light off, plug this into your wall, plug your lights into there, and then that'll keep your day completely timed for you so you don't have to worry about it. This red light, you can just plug it directly into the wall and just leave it on 24/7, and it's perfectly fine. You don't have to worry about a timer. If you're worried about your electricity bill, you could always get 2 timers and make sure the red one's on at night and the other one's are on during the day. And we'll make sure that he gets his nighttime heat as well as his daytime heat. The very last piece of equipment, other than your food, is something small. These are like $2 at Walmart. It's just a basic bottle, and I fill it with distilled water because, as Chelsea talked about with the humidity, you need to keep that up. The best way to do that is to take a simple bottle like this full of distilled water, open up your tank slightly, and just spray the glass. If you spray the glass, sometimes he'll lick it off. It'll slowly drip down, and then the heat lamps will make it evaporate, and it'll raise the humidity in his tank. And there you have a simple bearded dragon terrarium setup. And next time we're going to talk about what you should feed these guys.
I hope you guys learned something from our video, and I hope you guys enjoyed it.